Hello, today I want to look at frequency modulation, which is the ability to change the frequency of a note over time. So modulate or change the frequency of notes. So I have a standard piano roll here with 3 notes, very basic stuff. And I also have my sound design, a sound wave, a sine wave going into my oscillator. And I'm using a standard amplitude modulation here as we've seen in the prior video. So fairly simple, it decays the sound and then at the very end it just fizzles out. So let's have a quick listen. Okay, fairly simple. Let's modify this using the frequency modulator here, part of the oscillator. I can go ahead and change this value to, let's say, 12, and what it will do is change the tone of the note by another 12 semitones. So it adds 12 to the actual frequency, 12 semitones, or some people call it 12 half steps. Let's listen to that. Or I can go negative 12, and now let's listen to that. Or I can go up just 5 steps. As you can see, I can change this to anything I want. Now, let's put it, actually if I right click, I can change this to be 12. Alright, now instead of doing it this way, which is very fixed, which can be useful, I can create a new oscillator and take that oscillator and connect it to my FM semitone modulator. Okay, and this is going to be using an envelope frequency, and I will create a wave just like what we did down here for the amplitude modulation, and I'm going to change this to ADSR as well. Now what I'll do is I will change this particular ADSR to start out at 100%, that's at 1 here, and by the way, I could go negative numbers, negative 100 or plus 100. So within 0.04 second, it will go from 100% down to 0% and essentially stay there. It's quiet for the rest of it. So just makes a change at the very beginning of the note, going from 100% to zero very quickly. And here it is. Now that percentage that is calculated here will feed into what percentage of those 12 semitones do you want. So when I press the note, it will go 12 semitones up and then very quickly die down to 0 to the actual note. So let's hear that. Okay, so it has that squeak at the beginning to change the frequency. Now let's go back in, zoom out here. Let me add a point here, and I will do something like that. And move that 100% negative. So now when I release the note, it will go down in frequency. Let's play that. You barely heard that swing at the bottom. So let me go back in and change that a little bit by doing something like this. So it will go negative and stay there for about a quarter second, but it will go there a little quicker. Let's try that. Probably heard it a little better now, that it actually does a decrease in frequency at the very end of the note. I can change this to be, let's say, one note, one semitone, I'm sorry, and when I play that, you can barely hear the change at the beginning and at the end. Let's switch that back to 12, and now over here I can tell it out of the 12 semitones, instead of being a continuous squeak, actually let me make it more obvious. If I do something like this, let's try that. Notice the change in frequency is very obvious at the beginning here, but it's also a continuous sweep of all the frequencies from 12 semitones higher down to the actual note. So with this little diagram here, I can tell it to hop from one note to the other and select which note I want. So if I click this, it pops up a bigger version of that little picture, and I can pick that note, that note, that note, that note. I'm just picking stuff at random here. Okay, now when I play this, it's a little bit like sweeping your hand on the piano keyboard, kind of. It only plays out of the 12 potential notes, it only plays these 4. So it will jump from one to the other. Let's try that again. And I can make it do this very quickly as well. Let's try this. Okay, so I can pick and choose which notes I want it to play. Totally arbitrary. It's up to you to decide what you want done here. Doesn't it sound like you're putting your hand on top of a jug or something like that to attenuate the sound? That little bump here in the negative is barely audible. I hope you can hear it. I can barely hear it on my headphones. Alright, so that's really it with frequency modulation. Of course you can do all kinds of stuff with this. You can, make it go all kinds of different. Let me add another point here. Maybe have it, why not? I'll have it go up and then down. Let's go like this to make it a little more obvious. Why not? Let's try this. Okay, it's kind of silly, but hey, give this to an artist and they'll do all kinds of cool stuff with it. So that's the essence of frequency modulation. You're modulating the frequency of the note for each note. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.